All right, I'm excited to welcome Dave Blake, founder and CEO of ClientSuccess, a platform that is transforming how SaaS companies grow and retain their customers. Prior to ClientSuccess, Dave spent time at both Adobe and Omniture, and we're really excited to have him here today. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, thanks for having me, Scott. I'm really stoked to be here.
The last time I saw you, I think you had just recently become a first-time grandpa, which I feel like probably trumps anything else that you're up to or doing. That's been pretty exciting, I imagine.
Oh, so exciting. And I'll tell you, I couldn't wrap my head around being a grandfather. I don't feel old enough to be a grandfather, but it's been the best experience ever. It's so fun and so neat to see my daughter go through that experience. It's a hard experience and see what a great mother she is. And so it's great to be a grandpa.
Yeah, I think that was the first thing that you and I were talking about. Is just like, man, what are we doing as CEOs to stay fit and to stay energetic? And I'm telling you about my exercise regimen, and you're telling me like, man, just hanging out with kids keeps me youthful. And I thought that was terrific. So, well, I'm excited to talk with you about a couple different topics today. I think the first one that I actually just wanted to kind of get started. Work now, especially in this kind of like remote hybrid world. There's all different places you can work. You can get inspiration from all sorts of things. What are some of the places that you get your inspiration from? Some of the places that you go to work or that you take yourself so that you can get excited and inspired?
Yeah, so we're a fully remote team. And so, and we've found that it's worked for us and we've had a lot of benefits, but it can be isolating at home, right? And working out of your home office and those things. I find inspiration a lot of places. Like one is just my daily routine in the morning of going for runs or walks and meditation and prayer and those types of things. And then I love just getaways to some of my favorite places. My favorite place I think is Lake Powell. So we try to go to Lake Powell once or twice a year, maybe 3 times. For those who don't know, it's in southern Utah, and it's like the Grand Canyon full of water. And we're on a houseboat, and we surf behind a boat. And I just love that place. I just love to be there and just relax and unwind and be inspired with my thoughts during that time. So those are a couple of my things.
I think the Lake Powell thing seems to be, I still haven't discovered it. My wife grew up going there, and I still need to go.
Scott, you got to go. We'll have to go sometime. It is the best, especially if you like water skiing and surfing behind a boat. And we do cliff jumping, and just to have so much fun down there. It's a blast.
I think the thing that I heard that I actually felt like probably most excited by was my brother-in-law telling me, and my father-in-law too. Yeah. He was telling me like 20. I mean, maybe it's a little different now, but like 20 years ago when they would go, there was like one spot that he could get cell reception. Yeah. And he had to go out of his way to like drive 20 minutes in the boat to actually, reconnect with work. But the rest of the time he was like totally disconnected.
Yeah. And that has been the case. I remember years where we'd go out there, and I have 5 brothers, and we're all very active in business, several CEOs and things. And so it's funny because it used to be a situation where we'd go out at night into this one spot on the lake, and we'd be all like holding our phones up, trying to get their cell reception. And in the last couple of years, we actually got Starlink on our houseboat down there. And while our wives don't love it because we can stay connected, it's actually been nice because there are times when you want to be connected and you want to check in and you want to write down your thoughts. And so it's been good for us.
Tell me just a little bit. So my dad, he also had 5 brothers. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I don't know if it was because he was in this like crucible of pain and competition, but he was a really competitive guy. What's it like growing up in that world with those 5 brothers?
Oh yeah, we are super competitive. It's been a fun, but we're the best of friends ever. And so it's been really good. I can't forget my sister who's the oldest, and her husband who's our brother-in-law, and he's competitive as well. But we're just the best of friends, and we've done a lot of things together in business and out of business, and we just loved each other. So we're competitive, but friendly competitive, if that makes sense. But okay. You get us any kind of sport or behind a boat, we will always try to compete to be the best on the court or on the surfboard.
I think that's the sort of ideal persona of a CEO is somebody who, no matter whatever they're excited about, passionate about,
yeah,
they're going to compete. They want to compete. They want to be the best.
Yeah.
And I think it influences and infuses energy everywhere in the product and the team. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about customer success. This is an area that I saw, I'm not sure about, some of your earlier roles like Hitachi, for example, but certainly at Adobe, Omniture, customer success has been there, and it's been there for quite a while for you. I don't know if I would call it like the early stage or the roots of customer success. It's probably always been there, but I feel like this title and this name really over the last like 10, 15, 20 years became more prevalent. Can you talk a little bit about, being at the early stages of what I feel like is sort of a revolution for companies to understand and take on this task of customer success?
Yeah, I feel like I was one of the OGs and in customer success. I started my career in consulting, and I just loved engaging with clients at the time and solving problems for them. That was really the beginning of my career. I was with Arthur Andersen Business Consulting and then Hitachi Consulting, and that actually really translated well into a customer success role. When I started, they called it account management. So the first kind of formal customer success role I had was at a company called Omniture. Many in Utah know it. It's just an iconic company. And I was tasked with taking care of the most strategic accounts. And the key was make sure they get value out of our product and don't lose them. Make sure they're happy and they continue to retain. I had no idea what that meant or how to do it, but I just rolled up my sleeves and kind of took the skills that I had in consulting and just engaged, understood their business, developed a great relationship, and helped them get value out of the product. And that was really that's kind of how customer success came about. Really, the coming forth of SaaS, which that recurring revenue and retention became that much better. People started having account management originally, and then customer success managers to take care of that revenue base and grow that revenue base. And I was there in the early days. It was a lot of fun.
So like, what's the feeling like? I mean, it sounds like, you have this opportunity to work with the top customers, but also I imagine like that sort of intensity, the potential for pain, especially from a cancellation churn, like you're kind of juggling this like pretty intense situation, right?
Oh yeah. I've always taken great pride on doing everything we can to take care of our customers and not have any customers churn. And so when I was at Omniture, here's a story. I had Josh James, who's a legendary CEO, came to me and said, "You will not lose a strategic account." And these were customers like Apple and Microsoft and Sony and Disney and big accounts. And when he said that, I kind of took a big gulp and was like, okay. But we did have a success, but throughout my career, I definitely have had customers churn. And there's nothing like the feeling when you hear a customer said, "Hey, I'm so excited and we're going to renew." And there's nothing like the pit in your stomach when you have a customer who said, "You know what, I'm sorry, we're not getting value, or whatever reason, we're going to churn." It's just that pit in your stomach that's hard to get over. And I think that you have to have that to be a good CSM. You have to have be able to experience both. If you don't care, if you get a churn email and you don't care, then you're in the wrong role.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our products are a little different, but we have folks who use our product for free and who can sign up and just like come and go as easily as they please. And even for the free ones, I'm like, I read all the NPS feedback and I'm like, what, why I get so, I'm like, I try not to let it ruin my day or anything, but I think it's an important part of being a leader. Can you talk a little bit about, like you sort of saw this potential for customer success, but like, why do you feel like maybe you stuck with it for, not only did you lead, accounts, you led teams, you built a whole business around this idea.
Yeah.
Is there something at some time where you were like, I think this is the thing that I'm going to do for 20 years, or like that I'm going to build?
I just kind of followed my passion and where I found, interest, and had a great journey with Omniture, and then we were acquired by Adobe. And so I was with those two companies for a decade doing this, and really enjoyed it, and was able to be very innovative and build out a lot of best practices early on in this, in this profession. And then afterwards, I was like, what do I want to do next? And it was either go and kind of join another team and run it, or build a solution that I wish I would have had. And that's what I decided to do, is like, I'd love to be an entrepreneur. I love to create things and build things and create jobs and do it around something that I know well, and solve a pain point and chase a passion that I had. And so that led me to founding ClientSuccess, which is a customer success platform, and have now spent, 2+ decades in this space, and loving it still.
It's amazing. Well, and like maybe just we can talk. I'd love to talk a little bit about the product you've built, but also what was it like before? Sort of like managing and interacting with customers in the past. Like what was it? So why was it? How like usually when you build a new product, it's like, oh, it's so frustrating. I have to build this thing, right?
We were doing what a lot of people do when they don't have a solution. We were cobbling together several things. So we were trying to use Salesforce, but Salesforce was really built for sales teams, and building the sales experience and managing that, and custom dashboards and custom spreadsheets. And I remember at the end of my time at Adobe, like one of the last big assignments is CEO of Adobe, Shantanu Narayan, wanted to have really good visibility on the top 100 accounts at Adobe. So I created this program called T100, which was the top 100 customers, and built dashboards and insights that could really help all the executive team have very good insights into the top 100 customers. And that was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of experience. And so when I left Adobe, I was like, you know what? Everybody should have that kind of dashboard. You shouldn't have to cobble it together. You should, and teams should have their own solution to use, just like the sales team. The post-sales team should have something tailored to them that was easy to use, and executives should have really good insights on the customer base, not just the prospect base. So that was the driving force to jump off and take a chance and build ClientSuccess.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to, kind of let's talk a little bit more about ClientSuccess and sort of the formative stages. So, it sounds like clarity. I'm pretty clear on like the why. Can you talk about, building that early team? I think I saw one of your LinkedIn posts where you highlighted how excited and enthusiastic you are every day to work with your team. And I just think that's so important, right? How have you figured out how to do that? How did you figure out how to build that team, keep those folks?
Well, I was fortunate to have a really good team at Omniture and Adobe that just inspired me, and what they've done since is phenomenal. But so I've always learned that, like, if you can surround yourself by really smart, passionate people who are great humans, then you'll be in a good spot as a leader, as a CEO. And that's really what I've tried to do, is find great people who are smart and that I enjoy working with. And that's been my MO the whole time. Now, it hasn't always worked out. We've had employees come and go, but overall, I feel like that everybody who's come and gone just been really good humans who are smart, work hard, have a passion, and rally around something, and are willing to almost sacrifice to be here to grow this business. And that was a key thing, especially early on as a startup, is you have to have people who are willing to sacrifice a little. I always say that every one of my employees could walk down the street and be paid a lot more, but they choose to be here at this time, with all of our strengths, but all of our warts, and be on this journey at this time. And that makes them special to me, that they're willing to do that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think there's, I remember some of the first folks that I interviewed, even just at previous startups for sales roles.
Yeah,
I would interview kind of like this young up and comer, and I would interview like the grizzled Adobe, Cisco, Oracle person, right?
Yeah.
And I think when it came down to it, like we often opted for folks who were willing to sacrifice something, and even maybe sometimes they were willing to sacrifice the big thing for your startup, or just their time or a club or whatever. But it certainly takes a lot. But I think you get a lot out of it. I find that I just am so excited and enthusiastic every day. Versus, when I've worked for bigger companies, it just felt like you're a cog in a machine. Sometimes, not always.
Yeah, for sure.
Were there any places that you found folks that were unusual or atypical, like in your recruiting process? Was it pretty traditional? Did you go out to your prior companies? You found them at, like, you were talking to a customer support person? I don't know.
I don't know if I could say that. I mean, what I've done is I've drawn on past colleagues that I've trusted. That's been great. So I've had a lot of individuals who I've known over the years, who I've been able to go and tap again and say, hey, we had a great experience the last time. We did some great things. Do you want to come and do that here at ClientSuccess? And that's been successful. But I've also had people I've never known who we were fortunate to find and recruit and have joined the company, and now they've become those lifelong friends and trusted colleagues that I really appreciate.
Awesome. You talked a little bit earlier about finding ways to be both competitive and find joy with the people that you work with.
Yeah.
As you think about it as a CEO now, how have you? I don't necessarily think it's sort of easy to balance things. I often feel like you're on a teeter-totter. Sometimes you're like extreme over here, extreme over here.
Yeah.
But how do you find the right way to make sure that you are, flying high in the professional, but also in some of these other areas, in terms of your real life or your out of work life, I guess?
Yeah, that's been super important to me. So I have 5 kids. Two of my older daughters are now married. They've been in SaaS recently. They're actually event marketers for a SaaS company, which is really cool. And I'm on that tail end where all my kids are older. But one of the things that's always been important to me is, like, I'm a dad first. But I also recognize that it's important for me to perform every day, because I'm also responsible for the lives of many employees. And so balancing that is super hard. I once heard some CEOs that I really respect said, there's no such thing as balance if you're going to be a founder and a CEO. You just have to also accept that sometimes you're going to have to do a lot in work for a period of time, and you're going to be out of balance in family. And other times you want to dedicate to family. And how do you try to integrate your work life and your home life in a way to help facilitate that? And that's what I've really tried to do, is try to integrate life a little bit. But I try my best, and I really encourage my employees to never miss those important moments in their family life, because you won't get them back. And life's too short to miss those things. So I was really trying to encourage 2 things. One, don't miss the important moments. And then every Friday we have a town hall, and the last thing I always say to my employees is, go make a memory this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Make a memory with your family, your loved one, or yourself. Just go, and the importance of making good memories, because those things are super important.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. One of the first things that we do every executive meeting that we have every Monday is just sort of do this like short segue and talk about what we did over the weekend. And it's always so fun to hear about, these memories folks are making. It's a way to connect with my team, but also just like, it's so great to hear they worked on a project or something, refreshes the mind, and they're prioritizing things that are important.
Yep. And that's what I think. If they'll prioritize those things, they'll come back and they'll make some great memories over the weekend. They'll come back refreshed, ready to go. It just energizes them, reminds them what's most important, but also brings that energy back and really amplifies their work here at ClientSuccess.
So let's talk a little bit about ClientSuccess and some of the things that you guys have been doing over the last, I think, 18 to 24 months. For example, I know that you've acquired, is it 3 companies you guys have acquired?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that. Like, obviously there's a lot of new trends and technologies like ChatGPT and AI and other tools. Yeah. You're acquiring these new technology companies. Tell me about some of the things you're excited about.
Yeah, I think that's one. So we've been fortunate to acquire 3 companies over the last 12 to 18 months, and really came about to say in the heart of the economic downturn in early 2023. It kind of started, the economic downturn kind of started the second half of 2022. So going into 2023, there was a lot of headwinds and dark clouds for everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we sat back and we said, okay, we could think about it 2 ways. One is we could hang on for our dear life and just grin and bear it, or 2, we could lean in and be bold and be aggressive and try to do things and use this economic downturn to do creative deals. And so we created this M&A strategy with no business to do it. I mean, we're a very capital efficient business. We don't have a lot of capital to go out and do acquisitions and those things. And we said, there's going to be opportunities. We believe that there's going to be consolidation in SaaS in general, and that we can find opportunities to really accelerate our vision by doing creative deals in the market during this time period. So we did that. We did one that actually happened to be a company in Utah, which we were really excited about. That taught us a lot. It was a successful acquisition, but we learned a lot. But what it ended up doing is it propelled us to the next, which was kind of a unique thing. We actually did we did the exact same, did a product in the exact same space and sunset the first product, which was crazy, right? So we bought a customer onboarding platform that led us to another one that was much more robust, and we sunset the first one. And then we just announced yesterday a third acquisition that we did. All of them are very complementary to our product and accelerate our vision. And it was just about tenacity and creativity and kind of being bold that we were able to do it. So that's been super fun for us, and to see the market react, see our customers react positively to these moves have been really invigorating.
I think one of the things that I've seen is that anytime our the companies that we subscribe to add new functionality like this, we're often like, whoa, first of all, that's awesome, because then we don't have to worry about like the 3 or 4 different interconnective tools that we've tried to figure out, kind of like duct tape together. And 2, it's always and typically pretty great to be able to just pay one company a little bit more, or a lot more, whatever the case is. But so I'm a big fan, and I totally agree. I think we've seen a lot of companies consolidate these tools and sort of try to build this kind of, I don't know, bigger platform. So like, how about on the AI side of things? Like, have you guys experimented there? Are you investing much time and energy? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're a big believer in AI and that it will transform all spaces, and including ours. And we've talked a lot. I've kind of talked a lot about this concept of CS 5.0, customer success 5.0, which is this AI first era. And we've done our own venture into AI. So the capabilities in our platform we call Smart CS AI. And we've done, I would say, early stage capabilities, but our customers have really responded well. And this year will be an exciting year for us. Our roadmap is very highly focused on AI, like many. And so we're excited to take the early learnings that we've had and the early ideas and feedback from customers and multiply that this year. And we're looking forward to it.
One of the things that I've noticed, I don't know if it's the same with your team, but I feel like for a while now, we've had just about every CEO, VC, talking about AI, really excited by it. And I think on the other hand, there's often, your family, folks who are maybe a little less technology interested, or some of your team who are just sort of doing their work day to day, where you kind of have to convince them. As an example, in Zeit, I think one of the things that I and our executive team often like to do is share both personal and professional examples of how we're using AI. To help people get around this initial hump of, oh, how can I use it? Oh, that's pretty amazing. I could do it like this. And I think in the CS world in particular, to me, it feels like there's like the communications, the health scores, the reports that you're talking about. I mean, it's sort of endless, right?
Yeah, I think, like us, what we did is like we've tried to encourage our employees. I'll back up to saying, I think that if you don't embrace AI right now, everybody, both in professional and personal, it's going to run you over. It's going to leave you behind. Right? So we've encouraged that last year, as in kind of the beginning of our journey into AI. We had an offsite with all of our employees, and we brought in this AI expert, and we did just that. We said, hey, let's learn about AI first from some very innovative, forward-thinking individuals about the potential. Let's open our minds to the potential. And then let's creatively think how we drive innovation in our own product. And we did some fun activities and competition around coming up with creative ideas. And then we said, we want all of our employees to use AI as much as possible in many different ways, because that will spawn new opportunities. And so I think, as you said, the world of customer success, there's so many opportunities. I think people are just scratching the surface, and there's going to be some really exciting innovations this in the next couple of years, and we're looking to lead the way in that regard.
It sounds like you have the right priorities, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Well, couple other thoughts, I guess, or questions for you. One of them is, you mentioned you've been building ClientSuccess. You've been working on this between 8 and 10. What's the timeline now?
About 12 years. Yep.
12 years. Okay. So you and your commitment has been incredible, and I think your desire to move and grow with your customers as they sort of navigate this customer success landscape. How have you, I guess, been able to figure out the different ways to make sure your product resonates with your users and that they're excited about it, and that also you're kind of going in the right direction?
Yeah, I think we have always, from the beginning, ensured that our DNA is one of engaging with customers. So we have always been very deep in with our customers, as far as like engaging with them at all levels. So most everybody in our company has direct exposure to our customers and interaction with our customers. Our head of product has always been somebody. We've always selected somebody who prefers to get on the phone with customers, prefers to be in front of the customers. So that's really important. I think that's a key thing. But you can't always just take orders from customers either. Yeah. So we really try to be in tune with what the customer needs are, but then we also take that back and say, okay, this is what they're asking. What are they not asking for that they don't know about? And how can we go that direction? The second thing that we typically do is we use our product every day, all day, all of us, all of our products. And now we have 3 products. And so we're using that constantly. And so we know usually we know a feature request before a customer asks, because we recognize it, or we see a gap in the product before. So I think those are 2 things: is like really engaging with customers and prospects, but then really making sure that all of your company uses your product and understands it really well, and can provide input into the roadmap.
I think that's a really big competitive advantage that you guys have, is being able to use. I mean, there's lots of products where it's actually tough, to want, not only to use it, but to want to use it, right? Yeah,
for sure.
But this is a huge competitive advantage, and I feel very similar with our product. But that's awesome. So maybe another similar question. It's a little different. Is how do you guys? I guess one, when you think about competition, depending on how you look at it, there's millions of different products that sort of could compete. There's probably a handful that you believe are competitive with you guys. How do you either make sure you're competing well enough, and then maybe making sure that you're not entirely fixated on those competitors? How do you approach competition?
Yeah, I think that we try to go with the mantra of like competitive aware, but focused on our customer focused, right? That's the way, competitor aware, but customer focused. I look at competition as like, as we talked about at the beginning, I hate to lose. I'm very competitive. And when you ask the question, do you like to win or hate to lose? I'm one of those that almost hates to lose more. So I like to be competitive, but I also appreciate great competition and classy competition, because it just raises the bar for everybody. And so I certainly respect every one of our competitors, but I never want to lose. I don't want to back down 1 ounce in a competitive battle against them. And I think they feel the same. So.
Awesome. I think, again, it sort of brings back this sort of competitive spirit that you have that's really healthy, but, you know, it leads companies to be great. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, two other questions for you, you know, maybe like one, this is more just looking at, you know, your daughters, for example. By the way, I think it's so cool that your daughters they both live in Utah and they work nearby-ish.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
They're both here. One's in
so cool.
northern Utah and the other in southern Utah.
Okay. I imagine you at least tried to provide some, you know, advice over the years to them. Maybe they never listened to you, but when you think about like the advice that you would give to your kids who are kind of growing up, moving into either the similar industry or at least trying to do similar things to what you did, what's important to you to share? What would you share?
You know what? I think that especially early on, and this is the advice I do give my kids. You know, I have a son who's at BYU right now, and we were texting just a little while ago about some of his, you know, trying to get internships and stuff like that. I think for young professionals, it's like seek opportunity and a diverse opportunity, like crave learning, crave challenges, crave opportunity. And when you are pulled into opportunity, that is the best sign. That means you've made your mark. A lot of young professionals are like raising their hand. Hey, I'd like a raise. I'd like a promotion, whatever. For me, the best indicator of a great employee is somebody that people are seeking to take on new responsibility. And pulling you in different directions. And those have been earlier on in my career and throughout my career until I became a founder. It was those situations where I had my head down and I just tried to take great pride in my work and work hard. When people started asking me to take new responsibilities or promote me without even, you know, surprising in those things, that was a great sign that I was having an impact on things. And so that's what I try to teach my kids. Get a lot of experience early, make a great name for yourself, and do great work so that you're pulled into cool opportunities.
I love that. I saw, you know, sort of a related quote, but Jason Lemkin, who runs SaaStr, he highlighted the enthusiasm from CEOs who see folks on their team who want to take responsibility from the CEO.
Yes.
And to own and to drive and to work in that area.
Yes, I unfortunately it was more of a contractor that I was working out, just didn't take it and own it. And I love owners. I love people who want to learn, who want to take on a challenge, and who seek to take things off your plate. And those are the best employees. So
love it. Well, last thought. You know, I'm sure you're thinking about a lot of different things for this year. What are you most excited about for both the future of your work and kind of I guess, when people think about Dave Blake, that you want them to think about you?
Yeah, I'll answer those too. What I'm excited about is our vision come together. We've got this vision for this unified platform, for a unified team delivering a unified experience. And we're bringing that together through these acquisitions, and to be able to infuse that entire stack through AI is super exciting to see the possibilities there. That's what I'm most excited about. For those, if I want them to remember Dave Blake, I just want them to remember that he is one of the good guys, right? That is passionate about building, that is hungry, but cares about people, and goes about things in a classy and integritous way. That's what I would want people to think about.
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you, and thanks for your time, Dave.
You bet. It's great to be here, Scott. Thanks for having me.